Let's start our discussion today. Today's discussion. Uh, Today we are going to discuss about selectivity and cost estimates in query optimization. Actually, in the previous classes, we have been discussing about what is query optimization, what is the need of query optimization, and then there are two approaches in the query optimization. The first one is heuristics query optimization. That is also we have discussed in the previous class. And the second one is selectivity and cost estimates in query optimization. Okay, this is the second method in query optimization. So to understand this particular topic better, just we'll have a recap once again. What is query optimization and why we need in query optimization. Generally, when you write any query in the relational database management system, the query will be converted into its optimum level, or it is in the enhancement form. Okay, so that means whenever you write your query, the SQL query will be converted into your equivalent relational algebraic expression form, and then from the relational algebraic expression form, that will be converted into equivalent query tree, and then the query tree will be converted or will be formed as a query graph, and then again the query graph will be used, or the query tree will be used with certain optimization technique for further enhancement. Okay, so this the main objective for applying the query optimization, the relational database management system, is to increase the query processing speed. Okay, and at the same time, the relational database management system has to use minimum level or minimum number of resources. Okay, the minimum amount of resources. Whenever we process any query, we need a certain resources in the computer. Or suppose if you are working in the remote system or in the remote databases, there also you need a even network also you need, right? So you required a lot of resources to execute or to work in the query, right? So here the main objective is to reduce the resources utility, and then at the same time we are trying to or otherwise the database management system is trying to execute your query with with quicker manner. Okay, that is the main objective of doing this query optimization. So here in the all the relational database management system, the query optimization techniques are applied. Okay, so even we have discussed the query processing stages. The one of the stages is query optimization, and after the query optimization you will be getting your optimized code. Okay, so that optimized code will be taken for further execution, right? See, in the query optimization there will be different plans will be prepared by the relational database management system, or different strategies will be prepared by the relational database management system. Among the relational there is different plan and then different strategies. One particular plan or one particular strategy will be chosen by the relational database management system for effective query execution. Okay, so that is what the key idea about the query optimization. So in this topic we are going to discuss the selectivity and cost estimates in query optimization. Then one more point is, in the previous class we have discussed about heuristics query optimization. The heuristics, we said, it is just something like learning of its own. Okay, so just by applying certain rules, so those rules are mostly related with your relational algebraic expression rules. Okay, so those rules can be applied on your query for optimization. That is what the first method, heuristics query optimization, right? So there are set of rules are given based on the relational algebraic expression. Those rules can be applied for your optimizing your queries. Okay, so that is what the previous optimization method we have discussed. Then the second method is selectivity and cost estimates in query optimization. See here, we use selectivity and then cost. Okay, there are two terms we mainly use. Here, just we are going to choose a particular method or particular strategy for query optimization, and which provides you cost effective. Okay, so here the cost effective, the term says something like it is not directly meaning the money, or otherwise it is cost effective. Okay, maybe you would have heard this term cost effective. That means what? So maybe you can do it economically, okay, without much expenses, right? See, as I told you already, the expenses or the other terms or cost are related here in terms of query processing is all the resources that you are going to use in your environment. Okay, so maybe your hardware or your CPU execution time, and then your the hard disk spaces utilization, and then your memory usage, and then your buffer usage. Everything is involved, right? So whatever the resources that are available in your system or in your environment, so we are just trying to use it with minimal amount. Okay, that is what the cost estimate says about. Okay, so here, so why we need a minimal usage? Okay, the reason is in a particular environment or in a particular system, there will be multiple queries and n number of queries and n number of other processes also will be running. Okay, for example, if you take a system or a server, in a particular server, only one query will not be executed. Okay, so there will be n number of queries will be in execution. At the same time, the other process and other programs will be also running in the server, right? So for that reason, it is better to, or it is advisable to use the resources available in the server or in your system effectively. Okay, so we are trying to use the resources less, right? So that is what the key idea here, the cost estimates and query optimization, right? So we'll just discuss one by one now. The cost-based query optimization: estimate and compare the cost of executing a query using different execution strategy and choose the strategy with lowest cost estimate. So we already said what you mean by cost, right? So here there will be a different set of strategies, as I said already. This is the usual procedure, right? So when you're going for query optimization, this is the usual procedure. Whether it is a heuristics or any other method, there will be different strategies will be prepared by the relational database management system. Among the different strategies, which one will be the cost effective or which one will be more suitable for your execution, that will be selected by your relational database management system. Okay, so here the execution strategies, and choose the strategy which with the lowest cost estimate. So here, since we are talking about cost in this particular method, it is choosing which particular strategy cost very low. Okay, that is the lowest cost, right? So maybe the other issues, what are the issues are there? See how you can find or how you can calculate the cost function and number of execution strategies to be considered. Okay, so for example, if the relational database management system is preparing some, for example, 10 strategy for executing a single query, and here the question is how many strategies should be considered for execution? Okay, which one will be cost effective, right? So in that sense, maybe the correct and appropriate strategies should be selected. Okay, so now the next one is the cost component. What are the components are involved in the query execution in terms of cost estimate, right? Here the first one is access cost to secondary storage. Okay, so then we will discuss one by one. The second one is storage cost, computation cost, memory usage cost, and communication cost. So these are the major costs that are being measured or evaluated in the cost execution that is in this particular method. Okay, so the first one is access cost to secondary storage. Okay, so maybe the different database system will be using different cost component, but these are the generally listed cost component. Okay, so here we know we have saved, that is will be saving our entire database in the file format in the secondary storage devices, okay, or in the hard disk. Okay, so generally whenever you create any databases, the databases will be saved in the hard disk permanently, right? That you know already. So in the hard disk, whatever the databases you are creating, all the databases will be saved in the form of files, right? So that is what we discussed in the file organization topic, right? So here, whenever you create any databases, new databases with number of tables, and the database will be saved in the form of files in the storage devices, that will be in the hard disk, right? So here, suppose if you try to execute a particular query, and based on the query has to get the data from the particular table or from the particular database, and it has to be the next one is storage cost. as usual, how much volume of data or how much data you are going to store, and what is the space or the storage it is occupying. Okay, the volume of data that you are going to store. So that is also there. And then the third one is computation cost. So we'll be discussing elaborately in the next few slides. The computation cost related to the CPU, that is how the CPU is utilized to process your queries, and then memory usage is related with your RAM usage, that is your primary memory or the main memory usage. And then communication cost when you save your data in maybe in the remote places. Okay, suppose if you're using some centralized databases or any other the database which is remotely used, there you need a communication, that is you need a network, right? So for that also you can just calculate some kind of the resource utilization. Okay, so now let's discuss one by one elaborately. The access cost to the secondary storage. This is the cost of transferring, reading, and writing data blocks between secondary disk storage and the main memory buffers. Okay, we already discussed. Whenever you use any query, the query will be access to the secondary storage devices, and it is just trying to find out which particular table or which particular database the data is available. And then if your query is interacting with your second storage devices, there definitely it is doing reading and writing operation. Okay, so for reading and writing operation, the hard disk has to be utilized, right? So as I told you already, there will be n number of queries will be available, or n number of queries will be processed. There generally in a particular query, for each and every query, the query has to access the particular table or particular database, right? For that, the disk has to be operated. Okay, we discussed what is the disk operation in the previous sections, right? So there will be a read-write header, and then there will be a disk movement. Everything is there. For each and every data that you are accessing, there is a role of the disk movement or the secondary storage devices. Okay, that is also we just calculate, right? So cost of transferring data blocks between secondary disk and to the main memory. There will be a transfer between your primary memory, that is your RAM, and to your hard disk when a particular query is being processed. Okay, so whenever you process any query, whatever the data, whatever the request you are sending through the query, so those requests will be getting the data from the secondary disk that is already available, permanently stored in the disk. Those data will be taken to the memory at the time of processing. Okay, that you know already, right? So at the time of any processing, so the process will be processing the data only when your data is available in the RAM, right? So it is not directly taking your data or directly interacting with your hard disk, right? The CPU, when at the time of processing your data, whatever the data is in process, those data should be there in the primary memory or the RAM. Okay, so this is also known as disk input and output cost. That is, whenever you require or whenever you access in a single data, even if it is a very single data or a bulk volume of data, those data should be obtained from the hard disk, and again it has to bring to the RAM for processing. Okay, so that access cost we are measuring here. Okay, able to understand? So from the primary memory and to the hard disk, how many times or how much the resources are utilized for each and every data access. Okay, that we generally measure here. Okay, the cost of searching for records in a disk file depends on the type of access structures that are on that file. Okay, so what type of structures are used in the particular table or in the particular database? Okay, what is the schema used? Okay, so what type of ordering it has? Okay, whether it is indexed one or if it is whether the particular table is in which particular order, everything involves. Okay, for example, if we take a table of 1 lakh records, then you are trying to find out a particular data or particular record from that particular 1 lakh records, and if it is not sorted, definitely it will take very long time. Okay, there it requires a lot of the IO access, at the same time the hard disk access. Okay, the read-write header will be moving here and there to search a particular record from the 1 lakh record. Okay, so if it is sorted, if it is indexed, and it will be done very easily. Okay, so that mechanism, that methods we have discussed, that is indexing, ordering, hashing, searching mechanism, everything, right? So there we have the primary or secondary indexes. Suppose if you have the primary index, sometimes the primary index is huge, it will take longer time. And then suppose if you have the secondary index, you can reduce the number of the access time. Okay, so it is depends, right? So the volume of data, how much volume of data you have, based on that you can choose whether you can take it for the primary index or the secondary index, right? The next point is, in addition, the factors such as whether the file blocks are allocated contiguously on the same disk cylinder or scattered on the disk affect the access cost. So even this point also we have discussed, like when the data that you require to access, if it is all the data are available in a single disk block, then the access can be easily done. Okay, so it is enough to move your the hard disk read-write header with only one particular block. Okay, suppose if your data is scattered, and again it is saved in different blocks in the hard disk and different parts of the hard disk, then obviously when you try to access a particular data, the hard disk read-write header has to move here and there. Okay, so where what are the blocks the data is saved, in all the blocks the read-write header has to move. Okay, so just imagine for a single query, if the disk is doing this much work, and if your system or if your database server is used for many millions and millions of the millions and millions of queries, then you have really the hard disk has a very big role. Okay, so there it requires a lot of that is accessibility, right? So that is what we are trying to measure, the access cost to secondary storage. Then disk storage cost. Okay, so how much, as I said, it is also included in the cost effective. So this is the cost of storing on disk any intermediate files that are generated by an execution strategy for the query. Okay, so here generally we'll try to save everything in the hard disk, and then whenever you access any data, then definitely there will be a intermediate files will be generated. Okay, so we just discuss about what is intermediate file. Suppose if you are executing a big query, and for each and every stage there will be a intermediate file will be generated. Okay, so that we have discussed in the relational algebraic form, right? So that, and that topic we have discussed, there will be intermediate table will be generated, and then on the intermediate table, then again the final query or the last query, whatever the query you are writing, that will be processed. Okay, so when you are writing a big query, the entire big query will not be processed at once, right? So there will be a intermediate, and the temporary results will be generated whenever you try executing each and every step. Okay, so for that also you need some spaces, right? Memory spaces are required. And then what is the computation cost? The computation cost is related to the CPU, right? So here the cost of performing in-memory operations on the records within the data buffers during query execution. So as you know, there will be a buffers in the database management system between your RAM and to your hard disk or your exact database, right? So in the hard disk, you'll be saving your the exact databases in the form of files, and whenever you process your query, there will be a buffer plays a vital role in between your RAM and to the disk file. Okay, so at the time of processing, at the time of executing your query, and obviously the data that is requested or the data that is in the process will be stored in the buffer, and it will be taken for further process. Okay, so such operations include searching for and sorting records, merging records for a join or a sort operation, and performing computations on field values. Okay, so all the internal manipulations will be done with the help of the buffer. Okay, so here the computation, that is whatever the the query that you are written, based on the query, the computation will be performed by the CPU. Okay, the CPU will be performing all the computation with the help of the RAM and the buffer. Okay, so this is what we try to say, what do you mean by computation cost. Okay, how much time the CPU is taking to complete your process. Okay, the entire the particular query completion. Okay, so maybe if your query is too lengthy and if it your query is involving more number of tables, definitely the CPU will be taking more time. Okay, suppose if your query is a simple query, and then if it involves only one table, and even which is very closer to the CPU, then definitely the query will be executed very quickly. Okay, so the time, the how much time the CPU is taking for your query processing, we calculate here. Okay, the fourth point is memory usage cost. This actually we are talking in terms of main memory, that is RAM utilization. Okay, so this is the cost pertaining to the number of main memory buffers needed during query execution. So how much RAM you required. Okay, so as I told you already, when you are executing any query, so you are not only executing only one query there. There will be a lot of queries will be executed, as well as other resources also, other files, other programs also will be executed. Okay, so for that you need a very effective or memory bounded, or maybe you need a proper memory management there. Okay, so as you know, if your memory is very less, your primary memory is very less in the system or in your environment, definitely it will be very difficult for you to process the query. Okay, so obviously when you are taking in the server environment, you need to have more memory space. Okay, especially you need a very large RAM size, so that you can execute or run your server and then more number of queries. Okay, then the fifth point is, as I said already, when you are working in the, especially in the network environment or in the distributed environment, meaning suppose you are working in the SQL queries or in a databases, your database is located in somewhere else. Okay, so maybe for example, you are working from Chennai, and maybe your database is lying in Mumbai or somewhere else, okay, the other cities. Then obviously what will happen, for each and every query process, it will take or it will utilize the network provided. Okay, so through the network only you can process the query, right? So there you require a communication medium or the network to process your query. Okay, suppose if you have everything in your single system, or you are working in the server side, you are in the server itself or in your local machine itself, then we may not use the communication, right? We don't require any network there. But most of the real-time environment, all the databases are working in the distributed fashion. Okay, that means the client will be working in somewhere else, and then your entire database and then server will be placed in somewhere else. Okay, so there definitely you will be utilizing your network. For example, you are using Google and then Gmail, and obviously what you are doing, you are utilizing the network. Okay, the communication network you are using, right? So for each and every query that you are working, so how much the network is being utilized. Okay, that is also we are measuring here. So this is the cost of shipping the query and its results from the database site to the site or terminal where they are originated. For example, you have the client site, and from the client you are sending a query, and this query is shipping to the server place, okay, or the where the database is located. Okay, so you'll be sending the query from your place, and that query will be sent to the server where the database is residing or locating, and there the computation and process is taking place. And after all the computation and process, the result, whatever the result is being generated, those results will be sending back from your database site to your location. Okay, right? So that is what the network is involved here. And in distributed system, mostly we'll be using the distributed environment. As I said, in the network environment or the distributed databases will be required more communication. Okay, so this is actually one of the important factor we should consider when you are working in the distributed databases. Okay, what in distributed databases? That is, all the databases are distributed across the network. Okay, so that is the topic we are going to discuss in the next class, distributed databases. So we'll be talking more on distributed database in the next class, right? So it would also include the cost of transferring tables and results among various computers during query execution. So based on the query, sometimes you'll be transferring the entire table, or you'll be transferring set of tuples that you required, or sometimes you'll be transferring the entire database. Okay, so mostly in the distributed databases, a single database will be splitted and will be placed across different locations in the network. Okay, right. So some the factors, some of the other more details we'll be discussing on the cost estimates in query optimization. So the catalog information used in cost functions. So to how it is measuring information about the size of a file. So how much size the file is having. So that particular information is there in the catalogs, and number of records or the tuples in the file or in the database, and what is the record size. Each and every record, what is the size of each and every record. Okay, for example, if you have one particular record of 2 KB size, and suppose if you have 200 records and 300 records, based on that you'll be having a size of the file. Okay, so number of blocks it requires to save in the hard disk. Okay, so as we discussed, the whatever the data or whatever the database that you are creating, that will be saved in the form of files in the hard disk. When the file is being saved in the hard disk, that will be saved in the form of blocks. Okay, so if the file size exceeds the block size of your hard disk, obviously it will be storing in the other subsequent, or maybe in the consequent blocks, or in the spaces or the blocks which are free. Okay, so then blocking factor, so BFR we call it as, that is how many number of blocks it requires. Okay, how you are going to access the block. So everything we discuss here, right, in the blocking factor. And information about indexes and indexing attribute of a file. So this also plays here important role in accessing your databases, that is in the optimization. Here the number of levels of each multi-level index, we discussed about this particular indexing in hashing and indexing topic, that is especially in the indexing. There we studied about the sequential file, and then the normal primary index, secondary index, okay, multi-level index. So then we have discussed already. So here when your record, when your file or in your database is having more number of records, obviously in the sequential file you will be having more number of the indexes, that is your primary index will increase. Okay, so for example, if you have 1 lakh records, for each and every record, if you are trying to create a primary index, the primary index size will be huge. Okay, so you cannot create a primary index for each and every record that you have saved in the master table. Okay, so for that what you'll do, we'll go for, to reduce the primary index file, we'll go for multi-level indexing. Okay, there you have the first level, second level, third level, something like that you can create, right? So number of first level index blocks, and then number of distinct values of an attribute. So each and every attribute, how you are separating, what are the distinct values are there. Okay, so based on that also we'll be measuring. Okay, this is all how we why we are discussing all these points here is, so how quickly and how effectively you can access your table or your record from the databases. Okay, that is also matters in the optimization, right? So searching for a particular record from the huge volume of record and then data, it is also effective. That is also one of the optimization, right? So that is what we are discussing here. And selectivity of an attribute, which particular attribute can be used for effective access. Okay, so which is the fraction of records satisfying an equality condition on the attribute. So which particular attribute can be considered for quick access. Okay, so that is what mostly when you're using a particular attribute for search operation or any other the accessibility in the table, it is better to go for a unique value. Okay, so that is why always we try to use the primary key for particular record accessing, right? If you are using any non-primary key as an search key element, then definitely you'll be spending more time. Okay, at the same time you cannot pick the exact record. Okay, so there will be a ambiguity in selecting the particular record if you use non-primary key attributes as your search key elements. Okay, but here it is generally it is better to use your primary key as your search key element when you use your in the searching methods. Okay, so selection cardinality of an attribute. So which particular attribute you are selecting. So this was the the what are the cardinality or the rules you have to apply, right? So this is what we say about the cost estimates in query optimization. Say, as I said already, the cost refers to the the time and then the resources especially. Okay, so how much time you are spending. So whether you'll be able to access your data with very less time compared to all the other strategies, and compared to all the other strategies, whether you'll be able to access your resource effectively, that is with minimum. Okay, so that is what we are trying to say in this cost estimates. Okay, so here in the heuristics we applied certain rules for query optimization purpose, but here the whatever the ideas or whatever the things are, it is actually they have taken from the research only. There is no very hard and fast rules here. So there are different parameters and different elements we are considering, so that we can improvise the query processing. Okay, we can reach at least some level of optimization by applying certain the ideas. Okay, so that is what we try to say here. Hi learners, please subscribe to my channel and also press bell icon for latest video updates. Please do not forget to like, comment and share. Thank you.